Yeah, pretty much, yeah, probably just before that. As soon as these big competitions came out, that's all I wanted to really win. Like, you know, Fishermania's been around for so long, so it was always trying to get tickets for that. And then when the Maver brought this one out, tickets were available straight away, and just really wanted to go. I'd say probably the first year, I think I only did like 1 or 2 qualifiers. It was quite expensive, and I just went to my local places. And after that, I was like, I really want to get in that final. And then I think over the last 6 years, I've been in 5 Maver finals, just trying to get lucky enough in the final. And thankfully this year, it's all come together. Yeah, I always go for them as well in the Golden Reel final. I've been in 2 Golden Reel finals over the last 6 years as well, I think. One of them was this year, just a week after the Maver. Would have been nice to do the double, but I was just happy to be there, to be honest. And then last year I was in the Fishermania final, and I was over the moon with that, to be honest, finishing second to Harry Bignell. Took me, say, 3.5 hours to get a bite that day, and it felt like I'd won it, to be honest, when I come second, so I was more than happy. The last couple of years fishing's gone really, really well for me. Match fishing, I think it was around when I was in 6th form, so just before I could drive, because I was having to get lifts off everyone, my granddad and my gramps, my dad and my mum, they were all taking me to matches, so it must have been around 16, 17 I think I was. Yeah, taking me to all the local places, and I actually started most of them just not going in the pools, just paying the day ticket and fishing the match and see where I came, and then slowly working up to putting some more money in, just using my pocket money pretty much. Well, it'd be Makins and peatling pools. So I used to do a lot of work experience at Makins when I was in 6th form, because I wasn't really going to school as much as I should have. So they said, you've got to do some work experience somewhere every week, like every Friday, to make up your hours. So I didn't really enjoy going to school. So I started going to Makins, got in touch with them, and they were like, yeah, come along every Friday, come and work at Makins. So it started from there. I did that for a couple of years, to be honest, fishing as much as I could. Like, yeah, and then one of my mates, John Perkins, he started taking me to peatling pools. They had like an open scene there. It was half a dozen guys or a dozen guys fished their matches there. Started going there, trying something different, and then splitting between the two really. Just all carp fishing. It's all carp match fishing generally. Yes, yeah, I live only like 10 minutes from the Glebe, which it's an awesome venue there, and I joined there for 1 year and then just fished as many qualifiers there as I could. It really suits my style of fishing. To begin with, I just did my locals, or anywhere that had just carp in. I didn't really go to the F1 venues, sort of thought they were like the local experts generally took care of those qualifiers. So I just stuck to the places where you could turn up and draw on like a shed full of carp, really. Got lucky. I think the first qualifier I ever won was at Coleman's Cottage for the Maver final. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go there. It looks like it's full of carp, and it was. And I had a brilliant day. And that was quite a few years ago now, that final. But yeah, it's somewhere I'd never been before, and I got lucky, basically. Yeah, and then after that, I really got the bug once you got into the final. I just wanted to get back there every year then, and I think now I fish like over the 3 big competitions. I think this year I fished something like 20 qualifiers. It just takes up all your weekends in the year, but yeah, it makes it all worthwhile when you're getting that final, to be honest. I did that this year, yeah, I did it last year as well. Knocked out on round 3, I think, both years in a row. But the funny thing that happened is I'd get knocked out and I'd be really gutted. And then the weekend afterwards, this happened 2 years on a bounce, I'd qualified for a final. So I wasn't. So next year, I'm not too bothered if I get knocked out on round 3 again, because it might happen again. It'd be 5 Mavers, 2 golden reels, a Fishermania final, and I did qualify for Fisher when they had that semi-final at Cudmore, but I never got through the semi-final, so I'd say yeah, it's about 8 finals now, I think. At the start of the year, every year, you look at all the list of qualifiers out and you pick the ones you fancy. There might be like 15 or 20 matches you'd fancy, and you just sit there like, how am I going to win one of those matches? But you go along and you pay your money and you end up drawing on a load of fish, and it just goes well. Like, all you have to do really is win your section, and if you're in the best section of the match, then you've won the match, and that's how it is. You forget about all the other lakes. Yeah, it's easier than it sounds, but it's still very, very difficult to do. Yeah. You go along, try and win your money back to pay for the next qualifier. That's how I see it. And actual Maver ones, I'm not 100%, but the in total, I think I fished about 20 or 21 qualifiers. I can't believe I've done that many, but I'd say the first probably 10 or 12 were pretty much a write-off, just trying to get your section back and things like that. Because they start a lot earlier now, like March time, and it's very peggy on some venues, and even April this year was fairly cold as well. So I'd say yeah, about 20-ish. Yeah. They weren't too close on weight, but there was a few days where I think I came away thinking, if I'd have done something a bit sooner, I may have caught another 50 or 60 pound or something and been a lot closer. There was one at Decoy, I felt like that. But yeah, not too many overall chances this year, I don't think. For the Maver final, I qualified at the Glebe fishery, so a local, 10 minutes up the road. I drew a peg called Peg 75, which is like one of the M pegs on Lake 4. Lake 4 hadn't been brilliant this year, but in August time it really picks up, and it's the same every year. So I really fancied it, to be honest. Got to my peg, quite a lot of cruising carp about, and that's pretty much how my day went. I was going to try and catch some mugfish, slapping at them, well, not slapping, underarming at them, and then finish up down the margins. And that's pretty much how it went. I think I had a lot more than I thought I had. 50 pound net limits at the Glebe, and I'd pretty much gone over in all of my nets, not realising. You get knocked back there. I couldn't believe how wrong I'd gone, but thankfully it didn't cost me. I think I knocked back about 30 odd pound. So at that time of year at the Glebe, like, I think I finished it with about 240 pounds, but that time of year nearly 300 pound was winning some of their matches. So it was thinking, having to wait for everyone to weigh in, thinking, oh, what have I done here? But yeah, thankfully it all went my way. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks at the very most, because it was mid-August time and the final was beginning of September. So yeah, didn't have too long, but they had a couple of open matches up at Hayfield a few days before the final, like a week before. So I fished 3 of the practice matches effectively. Yeah. I think it was pretty much like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or no, it was Wednesday, Sunday, Monday I fished before the final pretty much. That's the first time I've been to Hayfield this year. Unfortunately, I hadn't done any of the qualifiers here. Weather-wise on the day, they were all totally different, so it made it quite interesting at least. But the main thing I learned was you could always catch a few fish from out the edge, as long as you didn't fill it in, and you trickled in a few 6mm pellets, and that made such a difference. In each of the matches I fished, the fish come into that rather than you big potting bait anywhere, and in the final that's really what made the difference as well. Yeah, again, like I stood there looking at everyone. We're all getting read out the rules in the morning, and I looked around at all these anglers and I think, how am I going to beat all these like superstars, really? Like, one of the best lineups in a final I've seen for a long time. It's like, how do you manage it? Jamie Hughes, Andy Power, Andy Bennett, like all the top big ones. Paul Holland, yeah, Christian Jones, yeah. You think, how am I going to beat these? But then when you start fishing, a lot of them are immediately eliminated from the draws anyway that they've had. and it's just a case of nicking the odd fish, and if it goes your way, yeah. Well, when I drew, there was only 3 pegs left in the bag, and there was 2 that were really bad, I would say. Like Match This pegs 23 and 24, and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to end up on 23, aren't I? Because that's where I really didn't want to be. And I thought I was more than happy to just pull out any other peg than that. So as soon as I pulled out peg 6, I was like, oh, thank God for that. Like, yeah. What a relief. And then in the morning, you don't really fancy it. I've drawn around here with quite a few qualifying matches in the previous years, and it's been very hard, but it's also been a lot tightly pegged. And then we had quite a bit of room on the final. Everyone's spaced out really well, it's pegged really well. So you always had that chance of an edge fish, and I had a nice long edge to my left, and that's where it came good. Yeah. No, it's fishing really well. I think on the Sunday before the final, I won the open match with like £240 around that, and like ran out of keep nets pretty much. Just stopped fishing like towards the end. It just fished its head off really well before the final. So we were all expecting a big weight, at least £150, I reckon. Yeah. But the weather's sort of changed on the couple of days leading up to the final. I think it really mixed it up a bit. Well, it predicted thunderstorms, and thankfully we never had them. Like, I got here in the morning, it was really muggy, the weather, it was really warm. We didn't expect it, quite a lot of sun, which is like one of my favourite ideal conditions really, when it's still and sunny. Yeah. A lot of the fish start cruising around. I enjoy mugging fish as well. So I was really thinking, oh, this could be quite good. Yeah. The initial plan was similar to what we'd done in practice. Start short, tap a few pellets in on your 5 metre line, see if you can nick 1 or 2 carp. In the meantime, you'd be feeding your long pole line on the deck and shallow with 6 mils, and then 25 metres out on the rod, like 8 mils for your wag or your method underneath. Found that bomb worked, but a method probably worked a bit better. Yeah, I found that in other Match This finals, it was just a bit neater, I think, on the day. But on the actual final, that was the plan, but it was totally different. I'd say half an hour before the match started, the wind started like blowing into my bank quite a bit. It just changed, it picked up a bit of a breeze, and it brought a load of fish over as well. And then I was saying to Griff, my bank runner, there's quite a few mugfish swimming around now, like didn't see these earlier. And then like a minute to go to the final, there was 2 or 3 sitting about, so straight out on a mugging rig, and nicked a few straight away. Yeah. Ideal start really. I think after about an hour and a half, I'd got around £40, all from mugging. Yeah, I missed a few, and I felt like I should have had a few more mugging than I actually did. You know, missed some of the easy ones and that. But thankfully, I think around that time I was around leading, and I couldn't really believe it, because Adams Lake, Big Adams in the lead up to the final had fished so much better than Little Adams. After that, I've been feeding out shallow on my pole with 6s, and again with 8s at like 25 metres. So I thought, I'm going to go out shallow on the pole, because a couple of guys around on this lake had caught a couple shallow slapping. So I went out with 2.5 foot rig, slapped it over twice, and put it down. It just ripped the elastic out, and I thought, oh, flipping it, here we go. Like, this is good. And that was the only bite I had shallow on the pole all day. Yeah, tried it for another 15-20 minutes. Yeah. I thought this is going to be awesome, but yeah, that was literally the only bite I had there. Tried on the deck underneath it, no signs. So after that, went out on the method. That nicked 2 or 3 fish pretty quick, within probably half an hour. Yeah. And I think boosted my lead a little bit. I think some of the guys had caught up. Jimmy Brooks had started to catch. Jamie Hughes was catching as well, Andy Power, on this lake anyway. And got me up to around 50 to maybe £60 at that point. Then it just really tailed off. There's probably 2 hours left, I've been feeding a few pellets down the margin with 2 hours to go.
Yeah.
Just 6s again, not putting a lot in, about 40, 50 pellets at most. And I couldn't get a bite anywhere. Like probably being at a good hour without a bite. I'd say middle of the match, just really struggling. I did nick one on the pellet waggler over where I've been chucking the method, and that was the only bite I had on that. A few guys around the lake had started catching fish on the pellet waggler, Jimmy and Andy Power as well.
Yeah.
And then with an hour and a half left then, I thought I've got to try down this edge, because in practice within the last hour and a half, that's when they'd come in. Like, there weren't many signs down there, but they were there. They've got clever fish, I think, not giving themselves away. And I've gone down the margin, sat there for probably 10 minutes thinking, oh, I don't think this is going to happen. And then I've had like a liner on the float. I thought, oh, flipping heck. And then like about 10 seconds later, it's shot under and I've got one. I thought, wow, it's like an hour and a half left, an hour and 20 left or something. And I've got a fish down the edge. I was like, oh, flipping heck. And then gone back in again, trickled in a few pellets, same again, missed a couple of bites in a row. I don't know what that was about, but gone back in after that, and then just carried on catching out the edge really. Just sitting there, sometimes up to 10, 15 minutes for a bite, and suddenly one would come in the peg and you just nail it.
Big fish? Big
fish again, yeah, like probably averaging 7 to 8 pound, sort of thing, the bigger than the ones you were getting out in the lake. And then I'd say there was probably about 20 minutes left. I've gone in down the edge, and I've hooked a big fish, and I thought, oh, that feels foul hooked as soon as I hooked it, but you could tell it was a very big fish. And played it for probably 5 minutes, really gently. It was starting to come back in. It's come to the surface, and I could see it was a real big koi, like a big common koi thing, a big white thing. And it's come right to the surface, and it's just rolled on the surface. And as it rolled, my hook's just pinged out of it and flew straight back at me. And I thought, oh, flipping out, like, it must have been foul hooked. I think it was. I was thinking, oh, I hope that's not going to cost me. And I've gone back in down the edge. Took probably 5-10 minutes again to get a bite, but luckily it's gone under, got another one, yeah. And then got one. And I think I had one in the last something like 8 minutes just to finish off the day. I don't know, I thought it's going to be so close between me and Andy Power, I thought. I hadn't put Jamie into the equation because I saw him fishing for silvers through the day and thought he must be struggling, but it was obviously a bit different. He had a better plan than that. But I thought Andy Power had probably just done it. I don't think he had a very good last half an hour. I think he lost a couple of fish, foul hooked, or... Yeah. And that's where I've clawed it back, I think, right at the end. They did, yeah. Jamie was second to weigh, I think. And when they called out he'd had 95 pound, I was just like, what? Like, we'd clicked about 95 pound, and we thought we'd over-clicked as well, because we're being careful on the net limit. Yeah. Didn't want to go over 50 pound. So we'd put like 30 pound in a keep net or less, just to stay anywhere away from it. So when he'd weighed 95, I was like, oh, I don't know, this is going to be really tight. Just like, I finished up with 98. It's all down to my last weigh, obviously. Yeah, basically that last 8 minutes down the edge, yeah, that one last bite. No, then again, I still thought, oh, I'm going to have to do this all over again, to sit through it again, wait for Andy Power, because there's a few to weigh in before him. And a few guys had thought around him that he'd got more than 100 pound. Like, people reckoned he'd got about 110. Yeah. I don't know what he thought he'd got himself. Must have been around the same weight as me, but frankly I think he'd over-clicked his fish as well, same as me, but maybe clicked a bit more, yeah. Yeah, I was emotional, to be honest. I couldn't really talk, yeah, couldn't believe it. So I wanted to make sure everyone was weighed in before I even started celebrating anything, because there could have been any surprises on Big Adams Lake with some of the anglers on there. Yeah. But yeah, just still can't believe it now. Still have to almost pinch yourself and yeah, I did actually win it. Like, I can't believe it. It's more like a real big relief to win it as well, thinking, because you could do it for your whole life and never get anywhere near it. Really trying to get back in the final again next year. Yeah. And it's more like breaking that barrier in the final, because I've been in quite a few finals, you sort of think, I get to the final now, but how am I actually going to win it? And then when you actually won it, you're like, oh, like it's just a normal match, just like before, you know. It's just if it's your day, you know. Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, like always in September where all the big finals were every year. I always stopped fishing for like a month afterwards, because sometimes you're a little bit depressed, thinking, oh, I put all that work in all year, and then the final, and you barely catch anything, or you draw well out of it or something. You're a bit gutted because you've got to wait all that time till next year till you can try again. And this year was just, last year was brilliant with Fisho, and then this year it's just there over the moon. Just feel like relief, to be honest. Well, not a lot at the minute. It's just really nice to have with the current climate, with all your heating bills and everything shooting up. So it's just that a bit of a safety net for you.
Yeah. So you just tucked it away.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm going to go on some long overdue holidays next year, I think, with the missus, treat ourselves, and yeah, just enjoy it, general. Yeah.